Hey guys, Fire here from InDepth Gaming, bringing you another game review. This time we're checking out Jack and Hat. Jack and Hat's developed by Cross Game Studio, published by Two Awesome Studio, and released on January 21st, 2022 for a price of $7.99. At the time of recording this review, you can save a little bit and get the game for $6.79, so it's a little over $1 off. So what is Jack and Hat? It's kind of just a old school platformer clone is probably my best way to describe it. You can play either retro mode or modern mode where you get infinite lives, and you're kind of just be going through Mario S style stages, jumping on enemies, attacking them with your hat, and trying to get from one end to the other in the game. While playing, I'm going to kind of skip through a lot of the dialogue here just so we can get into the meat and potatoes of the game, because if you really care about the story, we'll let you guys buy that if you want a little bit. There's not a lot of story here. The main premise of the game is you're going to take over a few different levels with a few different skin designs, and you'll kind of just be jumping on these like toad-like enemies and breaking boxes, collecting coins, and using your hat to navigate levels. Most of the levels in the game are going to be pretty straightforward for you to complete. But some of them might require you to do a little bit of parkour-esque style movements and making sure you use your hat to break boxes. You'll need to break a certain amount of boxes as you play the levels to progress through them. The game does offer checkpoints, but the game can be extremely brutal at times with some of their checkpoints. But the game, at the same time, depending on the modes you play, will help simplify things for you. The game's pretty generous when it comes to its achievements. You should start popping achievements pretty darn quick. But what you're seeing here on screen, just in the first couple seconds, is pretty much the main premise of the entire game. You're going to be jumping on enemies, using your hat to attack and move around, and then just jumping on boxes and navigating throughout the levels. Nothing is really too overly hard in this game. Outside of you're going to run into a few points where it's just some unfortunate times where you just die from jumping or getting bumped by enemies. But when it comes to just the game itself, it's only going to take you probably about 40 minutes to beat this entire game, and that's really if you struggle or are dying a lot. Like I said, you'll need to make sure you're breaking all these boxes while you're playing, but outside of that, you're not really going to have to do a whole heck of a lot. I'm going to go ahead and switch here to a save that we'll show you a little later in the game here. Let me boot this up. But a lot of the premise of the game is going from the four main stages that'll end up leading you to a final kind of boss fight that'll honestly pop your last achievement going to it. But you're just going to be going through these four stages. I'd say most of the stages are, I don't know, roughly 5-10 minutes to really get through, so it's not going to be anything that you have to grind yourself for. You can try to collect all the little gems and stuff as you traverse through, and then once you complete out those four stages, you'll be able to do the final boss mission. And ultimately, for me, this game it's enjoyable because I'm definitely grew up in the Mario generation era of gaming, and I really enjoy these kind of games. But the big downside for me is just the game itself is honestly rather short. I definitely would want to have a good couple hours of playing in a game like this. And unfortunately, I'm just presented with something that doesn't give me a lot of replayability or time in the game, as most of these levels are just straightforward, short, and you're not going to do a whole lot, which is very unfortunate. The bright side to this game is it gives me more of a nostalgic throwback for games that I have enjoyed playing in my youth and growing up than anything. It definitely has a good feel when it comes to the controls and how the game plays. There's nothing in here that seems too clunky or too difficult or frustrating as far as using your character and maneuvering around. You might have a few occurrences where the game just seems like it just doesn't like you, and you're going to just kind of struggle and just, I'm trying to think of the right words to say, getting things to go the way you want or kind of controlling your hat. That's probably the most clunkiness that you're going to really experience with the game. Or just enemies that seem like they just kind of get the upper hand on you no matter what you're really doing. I'd say the most annoying enemies that you're going to encounter are these little green cactus-like guys that shoot guns, and then beyond them is just going to be probably the little cactus warping pipe guys that you'll see in a few of the stages. But overall, the game itself is pretty, like I said, straightforward and easy to play and pick up as you're going. Just break a bunch of boxes, compete against killing the enemies to get to the end of the stage. You can do trackers to kind of see how you're doing in terms of collecting boxes. There are opportunities to get more health upgrades and increase yourself to be able to not have to die as much as be able to help just you get through those stages. But I think for the most part, unless it's just some quirkiness killing you, you're not really going to run into too many issues in the sense of playing the game in its normal kind of go, or you'll just probably just die and take damage from just enemies that will just kind of get you out of nowhere. But overall, I have enjoyed playing the game. I do think it is extremely short, which is quite unfortunate, and I wish that there was just more content here. For me, I think going beyond that $5-6 range and wanting nearly $10 now, $8-10 depending on the sales and when you pick the game up, is definitely a hard pill to swallow sometimes when you're not getting at least really like an hour plus game out of your game, out of what you're buying. So I would definitely have to recommend waiting for this game to maybe hit a different sale. If you want an easy achievement game, I mean, by all means, go for it. This is a perfect game up the alley if you're just wanting to quickly knock out some achievements. But I definitely would recommend that, you probably pass on this game if you're wanting something that's going to give you a lot of, you know, bang for your buck, so to speak. But that doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad game by any means. I just think the amount of content here doesn't really justify the price that you're paying for it because, you're getting under an hour playtime at best. But yeah, if you have any questions or want to know more about Jack in the Hat, please let me know it in the comments. If you want to see playthroughs of full levels, be happy to make an achievement guide if you guys want to see full walkthroughs. But I think most of the stuff in this game is extremely straightforward. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Please consider subscribing to the channel, and we'll catch you next time.